Hello and welcome. It is the 10th of January 2017, and I'm going to be voicing my opinions about what's recently been happening with Microsoft and Xbox. If you saw yesterday's episode, you'd have heard that Microsoft has cancelled its exclusive called Scalebound, which was announced back in 2014. It looked like an interesting co-op adventure, kind of like combat game, and it looked like quite a bit of fun. Yeah, it needed work from what we saw in the demos, and it wasn't looking too good and too healthy. But it's been cancelled, it's not happening anymore, and the chances of them bringing Scalebound back in 3-4 years' time, I doubt it. But it looked like such a unique and interesting IP. They might reimagine it, possibly. I don't know what Microsoft's plan is at the moment. I don't have any insider news or anything like that. But overall, I think that Microsoft really need to work on their first-party exclusives. Now, Phil Spencer came in 2014 after the announcement of the Xbox One. There wasn't much in terms of a positive atmosphere surrounding Xbox, and then there weren't that particularly good sales, the games were meh, and it just wasn't looking particularly bright for Xbox. Then Phil Spencer came in. Phil Spencer basically backturned a lot of the stuff that was announced at the previous E3 that people didn't like, threw in a few surprises, and I'm not gonna lie, the future was looking bad, and then it went fairly positive after Phil came in and has made a few changes and things like that, which is nice. It's nice to know that they are trying to work on changes and trying to improve the way that they work with their first-party games and things like that. But part of my current issue actually is that they've cancelled one of the exclusives that multiple exclusives that they've announced. They cancelled Project Knoxville, which was a game that was being made specifically for the community. The community were helping with the development section of that. They also shut down Lionhead Studios, who were working on Fable Legends, which also got canned and is no more. Now they've cancelled Scalebound, and I'm worried as to the way that other games are going. You have a look at Sea of Thieves was supposed to be out last year, I believe, and has been postponed to this year. We also have had Crackdown postponed as well. That was supposed to be out last year. Dead Rising 4 was supposed to happen and did happen on time, but that was predominantly handled by Capcom. I don't think it was a Microsoft studio that made it. I think it was directly with Capcom. Forza Horizon 3 was fine, but that was an internal studio at Microsoft, and that was fine. That didn't have any issues and was really well done. Quantum Break was also an external studio, and that was released on time, but as a Microsoft exclusive. So, I mean, Platinum Games work with loads of different platforms. They do a lot of Nintendo stuff, they've done Sony stuff, and they've been attempting to do stuff with Xbox. The future for Xbox, they really need to have a strong performance at E3 this year. If they don't have a strong performance at E3 this year, it's not going to look good. They've got to have a strong lineup alongside Project Scorpio, which is supposed to be released this year. They had a good start to the year and end to last year with Xbox One S, with its powerful slimmed down and added functionality of HDR and things. It was out before the PS4 Pro, which meant that it had that little bit of a lead ahead of the PS4 Pro, which obviously assisted Microsoft with sales, which is good. It means that people are buying the console, and it had 4 or 5 months in a row of being the top purchase console, which is pretty good because Microsoft have done. I personally prefer the Xbox One over the PS4, but if you actually look at the stats, they haven't moved as many units as they could have. They didn't have a particularly good E3 in 2013, which is when they announced Xbox One. So they've kind of had to go through a kind of recovery phase, and the recovery phase has been average. Like, you have a look at, for example, you have a look at the way that they've kind of moved into trying to focus more on hardware. Like, they've got that partnership with Scuff Gaming to release the Xbox One Elite controller. They've got the Xbox One Elite controllers with different customizations, limited edition controllers, limited edition consoles. They've made a smaller and more compact console. They're making a higher end performance console as well, which is due for release this year under Project Scorpio. But then the games overall, in terms of exclusives, have kind of dropped down and kind of like been fairly disappointing. Like, what have we got on the calendar this year for release that is safe? I mean, Halo Wars 2 is probably safe. That's launching in the next month or two. But that's one of their major franchises that they wouldn't touch and do anything with. Like, if they announced something, they would be stupid to cancel it. They postponed it. It was supposed to be a full launch of last year, I believe, but it's launching in a month or two. So, Halo Wars 2, they wouldn't touch anything with Gears of War. That's one of their major franchises. They wouldn't cancel anything in the Gears of War franchise. Dead Rising, another franchise, but it's held by an external company in terms of the IP. Microsoft just have a deal with them, and that's why I think Dead Rising 4 is on PlayStation 4 or coming to PlayStation 4. So if you ever look around, it's like they either postpone all of their first-party games, or it's a third-party studio that's making it as an exclusive under the Microsoft name. And it's a shame because Xbox could be so much better with so many more exclusives. I mean, you've got Sony. Sony haven't got amazing exclusives. Yeah, they've got Uncharted, they've got No Man's Sky, which was a huge flop. Horizon Zero Dawn is coming out this year. Last Guardian came out last year. But overall, the exclusives with Sony have been reviewing considerably higher and have been considerably better quality in comparison to the Microsoft exclusives in terms of the reviews. Now, another thing with Sony is that I think the only game that they've actually, well, they've delayed 2 games actually. They delayed Last Guardian, but that was in development for years and years and years. And then they also, I believe they originally delayed No Man's Sky as well. I can't remember if that was actually delayed. I think it was, but I can't remember off the top of my head. And then they've also delayed Gran Turismo Sport. So I suppose it works either way. Sony have postponed multiple games, but they haven't cancelled them. They've just postponed them by a few weeks or a few months. And I'd rather have a game postponed than have it cancelled 3-4 years into the public knowledge of it. And yeah, okay, they can't postpone it and postpone it and can't postpone it. But they really need to have a strong lineup at E3 this year for them to be able to have a considerably strong year Recall was disappointing. I'm just saying that. Recall was disappointing. Gears of War 4 was reviewing fairly high. It's not my kind of game, but it reviewed fairly high. Forza Horizon 3 was probably one of the best games of last year. So they do have the power to release these huge, major, successful, exclusive first-party games, and they do manage to pull deals with. For example, they used to have the Call of Duty one. They've got the Dead Rising one, which I believe is the deal with Capcom. So they can do it. It's just they haven't been doing it particularly well recently. They've got to be able to work out actually where the development is in a game. If a game is struggling in the development phase or isn't doing particularly well, don't tell the consumers and the press about it. Now, it may be a different story with Scalebound. Scalebound, you ever look at Scalebound, they cancelled it and they don't really want to talk about it at all. They just want to get rid of pretty much everything. They've taken down the trailers, they've taken down the reveal information of the game. I wonder if they fell out of Platinum Games, and that might be why they haven't really wanted to talk about it, and why they've hidden it, and why they've tried to remove everything about it. Because from memory, when they cancelled Fable Legends just under a year ago, they didn't remove the trailers and the gameplay and things like that from any of the official marketing channels or anything like that. Obviously, there's going to be press coverage of Scalebound still available on the internet. I'm still talking about it. We knew about it for 3 years, so it's inevitable that people won't forget about Scalebound, but Microsoft want us to forget about it. Fable Legends, they announced they had in beta. I've played it. It needed a bit of work, but it wasn't in a really, really bad state. But then they shut down the studio. And they cancelled the project, and there's probably nothing happening with any of the Fable properties right now or anytime soon. That studio's gone. There's nothing we can do about that. And then Project Knoxville, we don't know what happened with that. It was announced and it was canned within a year. The 2014 press conference for Xbox, the only thing that has come out of that is actually Ori and the Blind Forest. Do you ever look at what actually they announced that was major? They had Ori and the Blind Forest, they had Project Spark, they had Fable Legends, and they had Scalebound. Project Spark servers got shut down last year. Fable Legends got cancelled last year. Scalebound got cancelled this year. So whether it was the E3 of 2014 that went to shit, or if it's actually Microsoft's Xbox first-party releases have gone down the drain, I don't know. I mean, in some ways it falls in sync with Phil Spencer taking over the role at the head of Xbox, in some ways, because it takes a year or two for somebody's vision to come through when they take over at such a huge role, because there are going to be things that are going to be in the works for years. Like, we don't know anything that has been happening internally with it. We don't know if it's a fallout with the developer, but the vision of somebody like Phil Spencer will take a year or two to come through. And so far the vision has been, he's been saying, oh yeah, we're all about the games, we're all about the games, we want to make it universal. From what I have seen so far from Phil Spencer, it's been focused on the hardware and the features. They've improved the operating system, the underlying features of the Xbox One. I suppose they've been working I suppose what they've been trying to do is they've been trying to build up a platform which it should have been in the first place. They've been trying to build up the platform from the ground up. Then they will release the games, which are going to be huge and amazing quality and things like that. But by them rebuilding Xbox, by them adding all of these new features, doing all of these new hardware things, it's actually kind of pulling away from what Xbox is supposed to be. There's not a big enough balance between the games and the hardware. Like, they've got all of these hardware deals, they've got all of these upgrades to Xbox One with looking for group and Xbox Play Anywhere. They're trying to make it more universal so you can earn Xbox achievements on Windows, iOS and Android devices. You can earn Xbox achievements on the Windows platform itself. You can have cross-play between all of these different platforms that have been working so much on the core underlying features of the Xbox platform as a whole that they've kind of forgotten about the games. Now, we don't know what they actually have in the works. Maybe these games actually couldn't be released. Maybe they were actually not in a healthy state. Phil Spencer tweeted out that Scalebound was best for the gamers in terms of being cancelled. So maybe it actually wasn't it just wasn't going to work. Maybe there were performance issues. Maybe there were development issues. Maybe they had a fallout. We don't know. But Xbox need... This is a plea from me. I mean, I've always preferred Xbox over PlayStation, and yeah, in recent months I've been trying to play more on PC, but I have a game score of 26, almost 27,000. I've put hundreds of hours into Xbox One. I've loved it. I put hundreds of hours into the Xbox 360. I loved it. I've put 30 hours into the PlayStation 4. Never owned a PS3. So you can tell that I've come from an Xbox background. This is kind of a plea that I want Microsoft to really balance. Like, I used to support Apple the whole way, and I suppose this is kind of going a little bit in a circle and kind of like a bit off topic, but I've always preferred, in recent years at least, I've preferred the direction that Microsoft is going in terms of technology. I've supported Microsoft more than Apple in recent years. They seem to be doing more, especially with HoloLens and things like that. So that's why I prefer Microsoft. They seem to be innovating a bit more. I like what they do, and Xbox is Xbox. I love it. So by them not having the games and the quality that we expect as gamers and what we expect as fans of Xbox, it's disappointing. But they've got to have the features and the hardware for them to be able to have a strong community. Yes, they've got to be more powerful or actually be able to sell the PS4. They've got to fix the shit that they fucked up before, if you excuse my swearing there. But Xbox One, yeah, the Kinect was Kinect. Like, Kinect, people never use. It was bundled with Xbox One. They've been fixing all of the mistakes that they made in the past, but as a result, they've been making more mistakes with the things that didn't really need that much fixing. Like, the Xbox 360 was an amazing platform. People love the Xbox 360. It's probably one of the best gaming platforms out there, especially at that time in the generation. And they had pretty strong first-party exclusives. They had the Gears of War. They had Halo. They had all of the other games that really worked well for the platform, and it works. They didn't have cancellations left, right, and centre. Yeah, there were probably a few internal issues, like they had internal issues with the Fable development early on, and Fable 2, Microsoft came to the rescue as such and brought Fable back, but now Fable's gone. So there was quite a strong period with Xbox 360, and now the Xbox One, they've been trying to rebuild to what it should have been at launch back in 2013, and it's been taking a while, but because they've been trying to rebuild the platform and trying to make it the way that it should have been in 2013, the way that the gamers want it to be, they've been trying to carve it to make it the thing that the gamers want, and they've been trying to improve it and fix it and add new features. Because they've been focusing on that so much, the games have been deteriorating, and the way that they've been developing the games, I don't know what's happening inside the studios, but the way that they've gone from announcing games to cancelling games 2-3 years later after the announcement, it's not something we like to see in the games industry. And especially when Microsoft really need strong first-party titles, a strong platform, which is getting there. It's really good at the moment with all of the Xbox Play Anywhere stuff. They've got some huge improvements to the performance. They've got looking for group. They've got groups. They've got Xbox Play Anywhere. All of these cool features. They've got Xbox One S, which provides HDR, is small, lightweight, and is considerably better than the upgraded PlayStation 4 in terms of the performance and value for money. PlayStation 4 Pro isn't really worth it, I don't think, because it may provide a few performance boosts, but it's not running native 4K. Hardly any of the games have improved FPS with it. And they're working on the Xbox One Scorpio as well, so that means that the Xbox One Scorpio, if what Microsoft have been telling us so far is true, will really do quite well. Now, there is a possibility Microsoft have been hiding loads of stuff because they've been working on the Project Scorpio stuff and they wanted to have a strong lineup with Project Scorpio. That would be really, really good news for the gamers because it means that they have a strong lineup launching alongside a strong console which has a strong and improved platform which is for all of the gamers. If that is what they're doing, props to Microsoft because it means that they're going to have what will hopefully be a good second half of this generation, really positive, and then they can build upon that for whatever is next with the next generation, whether it be game streaming, game consoles, or whatever. But if they fuck up at E3 with their releases and they don't have any games that are strong launching alongside the Xbox Scorpio, they don't have any huge platform winners for the platform that people get excited about, like people got excited about with No Man's Sky and Horizon Zero Dawn and Uncharted. If they don't have things like that coming alongside the Scorpio, Xbox, I'm scared, to put it simply, because there has to be something other than the core franchises released. They have to make something new. They can't live on Forza, Gears of War, Halo, and that's pretty much the three core franchises that we have been getting, and Dead Rising, but that's more third party than first party. They can't rely on those three core franchises for the future of the platform. Recall, we're not seeing anything with, I doubt, and that was released last year. It doesn't look like there's going to be a sequel to it. If there is, I would be very surprised. Quantum Break was really good, but I'm not sure where they can go with it yet. And it reviewed fairly high. I really enjoyed it, but I'm not sure where they can go next. Like, Quantum Break was, you can't really progress from it. They might be able to. It'd be interesting to see how they do, if they do. But I don't think they will be making any huge changes to the Quantum Break franchise or any more releases to it. And there are multiple games in the works with Remedy Entertainment at the moment, so whether those are going to be working with Xbox, we don't know. They've lost the exclusive deals with PlayStation and with Call of Duty. They've not got Destiny coming out this year as a partnership. That will most likely be continuing with Sony. So they've got to have a strong lineup. They've got to have a strong platform this year. Otherwise, it's going to be a worrying time for Xbox, and PlayStation have got the lead overall in terms of sales. They've got the lead in terms of number of exclusives which come out that aren't cancelled, because I think I haven't seen a Sony exclusive cancelled for a while. They've just been delayed quite a few times, which I would rather over being cancelled. I suppose this is a bit of a rambling episode. It's not been scripted. It's just me speaking my mind about Xbox and about what they can do and what I think they should do. They've really got to bring things up for the gamers and the community this year. Otherwise, I'm really worried. Let me know what your thoughts are about Xbox and what they could possibly be doing. What do you think about all of these cancellations, studio closures, and all of these latest ongoings within the Xbox community and universe? Do you think Phil Spencer is focusing on the hardware a little bit too much? I think he is, but we'll just have to wait and see for E3 this year. So yeah. Thank you for listening to today's Let's Talk Xbox chat. I hope that Xbox have a strong conference this year. Nintendo Switch launching in a few months, and PlayStation had a strong PlayStation experience. They've got their Destiny deals and things like that. That's going fairly strong. Xbox really need to pick up on the game front for them to sell the units and to keep the community happy. There's no reason to buy an Xbox at the moment. Games aren't doing particularly well with Xbox at the moment. They're being postponed or they're being cancelled. Nothing's safe. Crackdown's been delayed multiple times. Who says that it's still in development or still gonna be slated for a 2017 release? The Halo Wars and Gears of War, etc., they're all the same. They're all the same franchise, which is being reiterated in different ways every year. The new franchises that they build, like Sunset Overdrive and things like that, we don't hear anything about, or they have one release and then they just die. We'll have to wait and see. My hopes are that Microsoft and Xbox can fix this and that they improve their status. We'll just have to wait and see for what happens with E3 and if they do any other press conferences this year. Yeah. So thank you for listening to this show. Let me know your thoughts. My hopes are that Microsoft will fix things and that they'll improve and listen to the gamers and have a strong year, but they really need it. We'll speak to you later on today with our Let's Talk Daily episode. I just wanted to get this a bit off my chest and have a bit of a discussion with you guys about it. So yeah, thank you for listening. We'll be seeing you in the next episode later on today, and we'll see you soon.